Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. I'm in my craft and working on UPS card series number 9, and I'm playing around with my watercolors. I just recently signed up for a class on craftsy.com, craftsy.com. They have all kinds of classes. I'm not affiliated with them at all. Just sharing my information, and I'm really learning a lot from this one. It's a watercolor techniques. This is a 5.5 by 4 1/4 inch card. Sorry, that's watercolor paint paper. Wow, it's late my time. Maybe that's why I have to make up an excuse for not being able to talk. And it's 140 pound. Got it at Michael's. And what you want to do, you want to put this down with your painter's tape so that the watercolor paint doesn't lift up or bend. Now I'm going to be cutting 1/4 inch of this off to make it so that it's 5 1/4 by 4. So I don't care that I have a little bit of an area that's not going to get painted on. That's just a suggestion because there's always going to be a frame there. Another technique or way that I've done this is I put the tape on the back, and I would just basically take a piece of tape and fold it like that and put it on the back, but it still doesn't hold it down quite as well as it should. Yeah, I think my oldest son, who's 1,000 times better artist than I am, he's gonna check out one of the classes as well. You just go at your own pace, or you can fast forward if she or he are talking about something that you already know. All right, so I'm going to use my brush here. Oh, I think this is it. Yep. Get my towel here. Okay, so let me just read this off to you. This is a 3/4 angle, and I can't reach. It's not Chinese printing, but I think it's Zhang Chen from China. So Plaid is the name brand. All right, so I started out by using watercolors that was on a palette. I'm going to show it to you, but the colors weren't as vibrant as I wanted to. So I switched back over to my liquid watercolor. I have so much on my craft table right now. So we're going to be using that. All right, we're going to be using blue. And I'm going to, well, you know, I changed my mind. I'm going to go ahead and use the palette for the background. I remember now what I did. Okay, so I'm making my brush really, really wet, and this is going to be the background. I'm using this blue right here. And I'm not going to do a gradient, which means, you know, it starts out bright at the top and then gets lighter as it goes down. This is just a background. Now you can do wet on dry or dry on wet, where you would wet it first and then you go in with the color. That's something I just learned. Okay, and that will take a couple minutes, not a couple minutes, but it'll take a little bit to dry. And then you can use your heat gun if you would like, which I'm going to do since I'm doing a video. We don't want to sit here and watch the darn thing dry. Okay, one sec. That's good. If it's not dry, when you go to stamp on it, it's not going to be a crisp stamp. It's not going to turn out crispy. You'll see in a minute. I just touched it and got my fingerprints on it. All right. So dry, dry, dry. I'm going to pause and then I'll come back when it's dry. Alrighty, I'm back. The stamp set that I'm using is the Penny Black Sunny Wishes. I just got this in the mail. This is it here, and it's absolutely beautiful. I love their floral stamp sets. And I'm going to be using this one here. And I've already got it on my acrylic block, so we're going to use some Heidi Swap archival dye or ink. Only use archival ink when you're using watercolor paper. Memento will not stamp right. It kind of soaks into the paper. And a little bit of planning to this that's necessary because I'm going to be cutting off that 1/4 inch on the side, so I'm going to set that right there. I don't have a stamp pad underneath this, so I have to really push hard since it doesn't have a cushion. And there we go. Okay, then I'm going to bring in this stencil from thecraftersworkshop.com. I have no idea where I got this. Oh, Hobby Lobby. There you go. And I love this. It's like a honeycomb. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp a little bit of blue and a little bit of green in just sections of the honeycomb. Just gives the card a little bit more dimension and color and texture. I'm not, picking any particular place or area. I'm going to have the Happy Mother's Day stamp right there. And then I'm going to bring it down here and maybe put some right here. And then close this up. I'm going to put my, that was broken china, by the way. And it kind of pops up a little more with the blue, I thought. And then I'm going to put a little bit, just layer that over, put a little bit of green in there. This is peeled paint. Did I already say that? Huh, I don't remember. I'll bring some up here. I'm not always freshening my dauber. I'm going to put some on and then put some on some more without going back and freshening it up. I think this corner needs a little bit too. All right, there we go. We are rocking and rolling, people. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make these flowers a really bright, beautiful orange. And I've chosen the Reeves watercolor tubes, and it says orange. You can make it any color, but I just thought that the blue and the orange was a nice contrast. I tried a bunch of different kinds of brushes, and I found this one, and I have a whole bucket of brushes. It just says number 4. It doesn't have a manufacturer, but I like the tip of this, and it was working very well for me. And I'm going to start out by adding a lot of water. Let me pull this in to it, and just go with my brush trying to stay inside the line, because you're not going to be, fussy cutting it or anything. It is what it is. If you get out of the line, it's out of line. That's it. If you're lucky, you can go in with it's called a dry brush. It's really kind of more like it's a little bit wet, and you can kind of push the color back in the line if you want to do that. So we're just going to start out with the first coat, and it's going to be very, very light. And then as it's drying, I'm going to go back and put a little bit more in. I'm going to just stick with the orange. I'm not going to try to color it, shade it with any other color like brown or green or anything like that. Just got to get my brush. And I don't want to put too much on because I like the black lines. That's going to give the flower its definition. If you put too much, if it's too thick, then you're not going to see the petals or the definition of the black lines. Forgot this guy right here. My first experience with any kind of, I'm just going to put it in a nutshell, art was, obviously coloring when I was a little girl, but I took an art class in college, and I'm not going to age myself, but we'll just say it wasn't yesterday. But for some reason, I just started getting the urge to do it again. And so I'm really practicing, and I'm really trying to bring the skill that I used to have years ago back to life. I think most of the paintings that I did when I was taking the classes were like landscape. But then I started watching this card series on Craftsy. I'm like, oh my god, I have to try this on cards. I've seen it before, like in stores, and I thought it was so gorgeous. Make sure I don't forget any of them. Now you'll notice like this one, the blue is kind of going through, so you want to brighten that up just a little bit. It's not too bad though. It's a very, very light coat of blue. All right, so let's get a little bit more on the brush. This is going to be the shadowing, or kind of, just giving a little bit more brightness to it. And I don't think that there's any rhyme or reason to this. Honestly, I'm not teaching you. I'm just sharing what I know. You can certainly try it, obviously, but I'm not an expert at this by all means. I'm relearning everything all over again. Same with Copics. I love Copic markers, but I'm not an expert at it. Okay, now see how that brightens it all up? And you're just leaving the lighter color of the orange in there and using the dark, just give a little bit more of something. I know there's probably a term to that. You know, we're almost done actually. Oh, I forgot this guy. We've done the background, we've done the stenciling. We're doing the highlights or lowlights or whatever they're called. I guess it would be lowlights. Or does that just pertain to hair? I don't know. And we're going to bring this in as well. One thing I forgot to do is I forgot to stamp the butterfly. This butterfly came off of the stamp set as well. This one right here. So let's put our butterfly on. And it's a little one. And I'm going to put her down. Oh, my Mother's Day stamp's in the way. Put her down here. And I'm going to put another one up towards the top. Kind of give it more balance so that it's not all shoved on, you know, that left corner. Okay, good. And then the Happy Mother's Day. I keep opening and closing my acrylic block here. So I hesitated doing the watercoloring thing because, you know, I was thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to take so long to do each card. But, you know, honestly, using the Cricut or the Silhouette and putting in the paper and die cutting and then putting the layers together was a little bit longer than watercoloring. So I'm, you know, definitely going to be doing more of those cards, but it was nice to take a little bit of a break and to do this. Again, I'm pushing down because I don't have a pad underneath there, a cushy thing. Okay, we'll set that aside. All right, so let's go ahead and paint our butterfly. I see a little spot here before I finish that it needs a little bit more color. Did I get all the flowers? Yep. All right, so I'm just going to go back to this brush and I'm going to get it in my water and make sure that's all clean. And I already have a little bit of yellow here. And I'm going to reactivate that by getting it wet. And I'm going to bring in the yellow, and I don't want to cover up the black lines again. I'm trying hard not to do that. But I will go back and do another coat when it's all dry. And then I'm going to move on to the centerpiece. For the centerpiece, I went back and forth. I didn't know, you know, what color to use. Oh, I forgot to tell you, this is lemon yellow. So I just went with a green. A little squirt on my pad there. The great thing about watercolors too, like on my palette here, I can leave this overnight and then come back the next morning and add some water to it, reactivates it, and it works just fine. I haven't worked with acrylics too much other than my mixed media, but you can't do that with acrylics. I found that doesn't work with acrylics. Okay, now I'm going to make this really, really light, so I'm going to add a lot of water to it. I'm even going to go to this side over here. I'll just put a little bit of green in there. Maybe a little bit. I'm so cautious when I do this because I always start out light and then go dark instead of going dark, because I'm afraid that if I do it dark too suddenly, then I'm stuck with it. I'm going to go back and do some yellow on my butterflies because I think that'll be all done drying. A little bit too much water. There we go. Just going to go on the inside like so. And same for this, so that the outside of the wings is lighter and the inside is darker. All right, I think I am done. I'm going to put a little bit of black there, or maybe some gray, just to define the body of the butterfly. This brush might be a little bit too thick. That's okay. I'm going to keep drying the brush, and I'll go back and just kind of erase it out of there. I don't know if you guys can see this. I should have zoomed my camera in a little better. This is too much of a brush, and then I'm just going to dry it up. I can even move it out into the yellow if I wanted to. All right, everybody. So what you do now, you know, let it dry. If there's anything that's too wet on there and you lift it up, it's going to spill down. And I just been playing on this. This is my very first one that I did, and just put it on top of a I found these really pretty speckled cardstock that I thought was appropriate for this. So I went ahead and put it on that, just, you know, chopped it down and glued it on. Make sure that you put your glue right on the very, very edge. I know I say that a lot in my videos, but you really need to make sure that, because that watercolor paper is really, really thick. So you want to make sure that it gets glued down real well. All right, everybody, if you have any questions, if I don't know the answer, I will find out for you. And I think that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.